the bin has moved. Somebody pointed out to me it's awkward that the bin is right in front of the smartboard because then people that come up to turn in their homework are like in the way while they're doing it. So, 913, due today. You've had it for a while. 914 could technically be due tomorrow, but I'll probably push it to Thursday just to keep with that like 2-day thing. If you don't have 914 in your possession right now, you need to get a copy of it, but please do not just come up and get another. Check your binder. I do not have enough extras for everyone to be like, oh, I'll just grab another just in case. We're not playing that game. So if you don't have 914, please come get it. Are there any remaining questions on 913? Even though we checked it some last week, we didn't take a ton of time for it. Max?
Can you do B?
I mean, I would if I knew which B you were discussing.
Yeah, that's not important yet.
So knowing which B you're talking about would be a good start.
B 9133. 933.
Of problem 33, you're saying?
Can't touch this.
Hey, those of you singing or making random noises, you're not helping. You're actually doing the opposite.
You know who you are.
So 33. Thank you for bringing this up. Guys, if you used homework help, like I have been trying to brainwash you to do, CPM homework help has been searched so much on my computer, when I click on my search bar, it is literally the thing that pops up. Because Google gets smart, and it's like, man, odds are you're going to search for that. So if I go to 913, I think it was the phrasing of this question that messed with you. But guys, it explains to you right here what the question is actually asking. Is if I tell you, sorry, I meant for it to go to my camera. If I tell you that angle 2 and angle 7 are congruent with each other, I'm talking about A first. If I tell you angle 2 is congruent to angle 7, then does that make any lines parallel? Yes, it makes line C parallel to line D. F is never involved in the equation. E is our transversal. So what we would write is C parallel D. Hey, look, if I click through the homework help and get a hint, these are alternate interior angles. If that still doesn't make sense, I can go on down to other problems and look at those hints, and they literally take us to, oh, E and F are parallel. Now, they don't use the actual notation. You could just say E is parallel to F, but the actual notation for that uses the two lines that look parallel to each other. So for 3 parallel to 11, 3 parallel to 11, they would be corresponding angles, making line E and line F parallel. So what we would write is E parallel F. If the angles do not create a parallel relationship, you just put none. Lily.
You had a big question mark next to mine, even though technically I did put down the right answer. Is there any reason
I would probably have to come over here and look at it. I'm sure there is some reason. That or maybe I've lost my mind. So what does that go with? What does that go? There needs to be an answer for each of these.
Oh.
So either you're stating which line is parallel to which because of the relationship given to you, or you're writing none. What you said is just what it looks like. We're not told anything is parallel based off this picture. We have to be told matching angles to be able to determine, are we parallel? So yes, that is the reason for the question mark, is exactly what I just went over.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Can you put the answers back up?
I bet I can.
And actually, I don't know if I stopped you, if I could. Oh my god. I found an algebra pal.
Huh. Offer up the to the holy grail of algebra tiles.
How many are in there?
I don't know. Many.
All the ones you found.
Well, but then again, it depends on if I'm looking at the blue side or the red side, if they're positive or negative. So actually, there might be 0 inside of here. You never know. Nothing? So nothing, like when algebra tiles cancel each other out? Nothing? Max.
Two things. One, I see like those brick things in there. Are we ever gonna use those?
When we get to 3D geometry, maybe, but really those are kind of beneath what we do because they're not very complicated shapes. We're more so going to use things that I bring in like this, where I plop this in front of you and say, okay, find the volume. But go ahead, next question, because we got math to do.
Are we ever gonna do our first?
They don't
or is
go
that
down.
just long into the
No, it's literally, I have a note right here. The only other ideas given to me are like meh ideas. Now you got me all distracted. I'm showing the wrong tabs and going to get people all excited. So, here's the deal. We have to do what we have to do to be able to get to what we want to do. Some of us, and we probably don't want to admit it, some of us are nervous that there's a state test coming up that we want to do well on. I'm not one of those people. But some of us are very aware and have actually come and confronted me with like, hey, are we going to finish the textbook? Like, are we going to get through what we need to get through? Or am I going to like go into this test not knowing stuff? So, Max, the first question is, do you trust me? Which might be a multi-layered question, but yes, I promise, Scout's honor, whatever you want to say, pinky swear, blood oath, although during COVID times we probably shouldn't take a blood oath.
You're recording.
I know.
very strong.
Well, like
Yeah.
Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, when they like prick their fingers and they do the nobody. Is that just like a story nobody knows anymore? Well, still bloodborne diseases. You don't want to.
Act like I know what you're talking about.
So, Max, we will do that. We're gonna have to vote on what to do and when to do it, but it is not my priority right now. Right now, teaching is my priority.
Why did you say my name?
Because you're the one who asked the question, but then you stopped paying attention, so you didn't realize I was still responding to you.
I did?
Yeah. I'm still answering the question about our party, but you went ahead and moved on in your brain.
Who?
So, the thing I wanted to remind you of that I have realized based off your homework, unless we have more questions from homework, but that answer key is recorded, so you can always go check that there.
We need to get the full answer key.
We did from last week.
Now you did.
Exterior angles. Nobody needs to be talking but me. Exterior angles are like exemplified in problem 34. So right here on the front of that homework sheet, angle F is an exterior angle of the triangle. Max, Brenda, can I help with something?
Yes. I would like the form to know that I stubbed my toe and I'm grumpy about it.
I am very sorry.
Thank you.
That's why he was wrong.
Probably almost as bad as when I step on the plug for the sweeper that was left out. Here's something interesting, though. What's up? Yeah, if it has like a check minus or something, yeah, like. Check it. Angle F here, if we use the triangle angle sum theorem, which we said we still need kind of a cooler name, angle F ends up being 43. Now, there's something really interesting about that.
It's a wizard?
43 is actually the sum of these other two angles. Over here, where we see that this is 131, that's actually the sum of this angle E and the 90-degree angle F, which means this angle has to be 41 degrees.
And then if the 41 degrees plus 90.
The exterior angle of a triangle will always be equal to the remote interior. The remote interior. So, when you are looking at problems that involve triangle angles, the reason this happens, we already went over. When you tear up the triangle and put it back together, it goes back to the triangle angle sum theorem. But now we can extend that thought to being, why'd you go to the wrong place? Oh, so knowing that the exterior angle of a triangle is equal to the sum of the remote interiors, let's solve these problems real quick as a warm-up. What? Fine, I'll go back to homework. You guys are just We got to stay a bit more focused, I think, because it's taken us way too long to get through homework.
It's just hard to like look at everything.
I mean, I agree, but when people are talking or singing or making noises at the same time, I don't feel like we need more time.
Calculator was wrong.
Just check, because like that, you could be fixing that.
I'm not gonna fix it.
Right?
Thank you, Mr. Hudson.
You're going to need graph paper. You're probably going to want a ruler. You definitely need a pencil. Highlighters are probably up to you. If you are bending my rulers, I will take them away and you will not be allowed to use them.
Come on, Connor.
We're probably going to circle back to this actually on a mini mastery or something.
Because why?
I heard a Mr. Hudson.
I did. What are we? Oh, we did starting 9.104.
Yep, 914.
Are we allowed to have our homework out for 9.1.4 so if we?
Only if there's a problem that says examples from class.
No.
So great question, but if it doesn't say examples from class, it should be put away.
Okay.
Yeah, it says this is your practice work, so you probably don't need that out. Because then you'll be trying to do your homework instead of doing class. Alright, so what we're talking about here, where they say A, triangle similarity, I don't want you to just write A, I want you to write out angle, angle. I know, right? It kind of reminds me of like Duck, Duck, Goose. So, angle, angle. Now, this, although it sounds redundant, angle, angle is actually the short way to say what we're talking about. Because the full way to say what we're talking about is actually angle, angle, angle. But then people are like, oh, angle, angle, angle. You mean angle, angle, angle. And then if we try to abbreviate it into just AAA, people walk around going, ah. And then everyone was like, wait, what are you talking about? So, this circles back to something we talked about earlier this year. When we know things to be similar. So, on your paper, set up a set of XY axes. We're going to practice graphing. We need to graph these points. Look at your X's first. Do we have any X's that are negative? Yes, you're going to want some negative X space. Look at your Y's. Do you have any Y's that are negative? Yes, so you're going to want some negative Y space. As opposed to negative my space, which none of you know what that is.
I know what MySpace is.
MySpace, the old
Oh,
internet
isn't that the game with
website
like
thing.
Craig or who
So,
is it?
this doesn't need to be out right now. What needs to be out is graph paper.
How big of a
Big enough to fit those points on it. And then, what is step 2? Scale it by a factor of 2, so make it have extra space.
Oh, dang it. Darn it. It needs to be 8 every.
Guys, you should always read what you're being asked to do before you start doing what you're being asked to do. Touche. Because we're scaling by a factor of 2.
Why though?
It's stuff.
There's no reason.
Oh.
Guys, I even ran out of coffee too soon today. Alright, so to make sure that I give you ample time, I'm now going to start trying to get this graphed.
Wait, can we start graphing this?
Wait, that's not a shape.
That's not a shape.
That's not
Most things are a shape. It just depends on if it's a nice shape. Wow.
I hate non-nice shapes.
So when we scale,
But they're not nice. Look how that works out.
when we gravity. working extra hard. When we scale, unless we're told where to scale from, we scale from the origin. Right, so who can remind us, if we're just kind of like looking at our points here, who can remind us how we scale by a factor of 2? Patrick?
Don't we just multiply all the points by 2?
Careful, yeah, careful using that 4-letter word there. But yes, we do multiply each of the x and y values by 2. So I'm going to use different colors for my original shape and my scaled shape.
Oh, I just realized what I did wrong. It's a nice shape. It's just I drew it wrong.
So I'm going to use like orange for my first one. So, guys, just to make sure that we're doing this correctly, I'm going to shrink mine down a little bit. But 0, 3. Guys, for M, come on. Let me grab your corner. 0, 3 should be on the y-axis. This, guys, please double check. 0, 3 is right here. The x is 0. The y is 3. 4, 0 for n. 1, 2, 3. 4, 0 for n is out on the x-axis. Walk around to make sure that we're all graphing right. Then scale by a factor of 2.
Wait, you just scaled that?
Scale the original shape, but I only have 2 points of the original shape. You're following the directions on the screen. I'm not doing it for you.
So, wait, question.
Four.
I'm being mean, Brenda.
Scale by the factor of 2.
Okay.
So essentially, we're going to double the size.
Okay. Ha, I was right.
I know. I was being mean.
P2, -2. Guys, some of us are still having issues with like x versus y. So please take this seriously right now. Practice this on your own.
Oh, it's like that.
Because the only way we stop making mistakes is to try it on our own. And then -2, +1, Q.
Wait, I also knew.
Can I share the way I remember it? Because in elementary school we learned you run before you jump, x comes before y. You run on the x thing and then you jump with the y thing.
Yeah, except for those memory tricks start to fall apart. Because, like, for slope, people will talk about slope as you rise before you run. Like, because the y comes on top for slope. So that's why I don't love those, like, memory tricks.
No, it's the alphabet. Why would I look at that shape it looks wrong even though it's right?
So, I know, there's, like, something about this that just kind of looks a little goofy. And maybe it's because it's filtering through my camera. Maybe because my screen is, like...
No, it's just a little off. Like it's on all of our papers. It just looks a little bit off.
So let's double check this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it just like doesn't line up quite nicely.
So it is parallel.
Like if these triangles are the same, then yeah, it's probably parallel. So I can go like 2, 2, and 2, 2. So then if I scale by 2, double everything. And then, guys, we label those M prime, or N prime, or P prime, or Q prime. Amelia, you all right? Or am I going too fast?
No.
Sorry, you were looking stressed out back there. Probably about something not math related.
It was for another person.
M5.
Prime. Like
Oh.
Amazon, but the little tick mark symbol is what we call prime. That little tick mark symbol.
Alt tick mark file. Mine is a PV and a Q.
Yeah, and this one would probably be a little weird to do it because two of our points are already on the axes. But remember, if we come from the origin and connect points out to like Q and then Q prime and P prime, it kind of looks like it's sort of like exploding out from the middle.
It also looks like upside down measurement, kind of.
Yeah, it does. You're right. No, it looks like you're falling to your death at the bottom of the pit.
Oh yeah.
See, but we did not need that.
Yeah. Jeez, bro.
We realized that you just said so.
I run at Thailand. What?
You wonder what Gus said?
I run at Thailand. I'm proud of me too. LB leaders. Wait, do you know coffee's actually bean
Jake,
water?
off topic. All right, so when we look at these shapes, aside from us having a slight issue with, like it doesn't quite look nice in our head because it like sort of just misses the origin. What can we kind of? I should probably use cards to point this question somewhere. Nolan, what is one thing you observe from these shapes? Yeah, I had to make a card, of course. What is one thing you would observe? You can always pass, by the way. When I'm using random cards, you can pass. Or I can re-ask the question if needed. But like when we look at these two shapes and compare them with each other.
Well,
What?
I noticed that the sides have, rather than it being proportionally distanced on all the sides for the scale factor, it stayed consistent with the origin crossing and how it was closer to it, rather than it being centered.
Oh, okay.
So it's not centered, it's mirroring it basically.
So our dilation does come from the center, but because these points started closer to the center, I think I see what you're saying. Of like they stay kind of closer as opposed to these.
Yeah, rather than the scale factor,
It doesn't look like a
rather than the
scale
scale factor being centered with the smaller one, it's instead lined up with it.
Okay. Spencer, what do you got? Got any observations? Any noticings? Both shapes, dilated or not dilated, or what now? Yeah, that's one thing I was waiting for us to test. So for these to be a rectangle, what sort of angles do we have to have?
Right.
Right angles. So here's the interesting thing. Hold up. Look real close at this line QM. If we were to talk about the slope of that line, how would we talk about the slope of that line?
It'd be X.
It's 1, right? Because up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So to be a 90-degree relationship, we need the opposite. So instead of positive, we need negative. Okay. Opposite reciprocal. Well, what's the reciprocal of 1 over 1? 1 over 1. So does this go down 1 over 1, down 1? Uh-oh.
Is this another rectangle?
This is why it looks wrong in our head. This is not a rectangle.
I knew that there was something.
This is just slightly not a rectangle. It is a quadrilateral. Quad meaning
More like a
4, but it is not a or I guess we could say, since we messed this up, it is a rectangle.
Or we could say it's a quad. Or we could say it's a quadrilateral.
Spencer, it is a parallelogram, and we can check that. Hold up, guys. Guys, some of you are just like acting like none of this really matters, and you're like just having too good of a time. If you could not right now have your card called and tell me why this is a parallelogram, you need to shut your mouth and open your ears. I love you, but some of you are having too much fun. The way we can check is this a parallelogram is compare the slope triangles. My slope here on QM is +1, right? It goes up 1 over 1. Come down here to PN. Is my slope +1? Yes, so we can label, and please do so, some arrows on here to indicate those lines are parallel. Check the slope triangle we make for MN. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. check that it's the same for QP. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is the same. So now I use a different number of arrows. So I'm going to use 2 arrows. So we have a parallelogram, not a rectangle.
Somehow, I don't know how, I didn't get a parallelogram when I drafted.
One of your points is off. At least one of your points is off. So if you want, Colin can probably check it for you. I mean, having a second brain check it over is always a good idea. Anyone care to tell me anything they think about, like, I don't know, if I brought a protractor into the equation here and started like,
angles have 90 degrees?
No.
we literally already discussed them not being 90 degrees. So Jake, I don't know if you're like throwing out wrong answers on purpose, but I need you to actually listen to the questions. So the angle at P compared to the angle at P prime. Obviously my shape with P prime is bigger, but Max Cat, well, no, you guys are talking back there. Gust, what do you think about angle P compared to angle P prime? Is the angle twice as big? What? You took a pause there for a second. So this angle, we said, is not a right angle. Compared to this angle, it's not twice as big? I thought the scale factor was 2, though. So what? What do you mean so? Why? Like, if I'm a classmate and I tell you, hey, we scaled by 2, so the angle should be twice as big, what are you going to tell me?
You're wrong.
If it's a 90-degree angle and if it's twice as big, and it's not just going to be a straight line.
Well, it's not 90 degrees. We know that.
No, I know.
So
I'm
take
just
that
giving
out
an
of the
example.
sentence.
Okay, well, if it's like whatever degrees, it's not gonna turn into like. Here, I'm gonna give an example. If it is 90, then if we times it by 2, then it's gonna be 180, and it's not a straight line. So no.
Jordan?
All the angles have to equal 360.
I knew that.
180.
Oh, no matter. Actually, Jordan's right. In a quadrilateral, we'd be working with 360. So, what needs to go on your paper right now? Angles, not angels, like, you know, not angels like all of you, but angles,
I'm flattered.
It's fine. You can tell us what we are. We
Mr.
know.
Hudson, I'm flattered.
Yeah, we're definitely
angles do
We're Jake in this class.
not change when we scale.
I finished drinking.
Angles do not change when we scale. So another way to say that is angles are preserved, right? Angles get preserved. They do not get changed.
Oh, wait, so when I scale on Blender, they don't change.
So the
Yeah.
measure of the line has no effect on the angle.
Yes, the length of an
Scaling the length of
edge. I was trying to figure out how to say, because we're not really talking about lines. We're talking about line segments, right? So the length of an edge does not impact the angle it opens.
So dilation doesn't impact the angle.
Dilation does not impact. So scale / you should probably put scale / dilate just to clarify. Dilation, I believe. I might be misspelling that. All right, so
Oh, no, I lost the ruler somehow.
all right, interesting challenge for you here. Scooch down on your paper. Scooch down in your paper. Scoochy. And man, is this gonna work? Well, sometimes it takes more than just belief, but we'll see.
Come on, you can do it. Yes.
Oh yeah, flip your paper around. Make it skinny.
Yeah.
You can do it.
You can't do this.
Wait, no, I got it.
Channel your inner DJ powers to do that.
Hold up. Stick with me. If I... Hold on, I'm going to draw this, and then it's going to not work, but it's okay. Because this is a safe place.
Use pencil.
This is.
Use pencil.
That feels like it would be too safe.
What? Use a pencil.
All right, hold up. If I create a 10 by 8
Okay.
triangle,
Oh, is this that thing where you like do the thing?
but on my side of 8, I'm going to go past 8.
That just hurts me.
On my diagonal here,
No, don't do that.
Not the no-no square.
Don't cut yourself in half. You don't want to.
But do you? Maybe then you can do two things at once.
Yeah, bleed out and bleed out.
I know, but what if you taped all your wounds? Then you could do two things at once.
Then you could be in pain and be
So no, you could disinfect. Maybe you can just spray Lysol.
that. Oh, looks like that.
Lysol solves
Whoa.
solves coronavirus.
Okay, now you're gonna be left alone.
It's all that weird smell in your mouth.
It looks like the hazardous waste and
Whoa.
Mr. Hudson, you have gone
How do you
to a whole
use
other
that?
level of excellence.
Looks like
He's
an
a wizard.
hourglass.
Jordan realizing master.
somebody sounds like an old police car when they wind up the siren and then the siren's like
And
slowly.
an old air raid siren.
So,
They sound like a tornado.
if now, here's the other really cool thing. This is 10.
I think there's some.
How did I lose my
FBI,
ruler?
open up. You guys missed the coolest thing ever. We watched the.
And actually, I think I just broke this.
Mr.
I
Hudson.
broke it. We're gonna do this again. Get like a next sheet of graph paper or the back of a piece of graph paper. We're gonna fix this. We're gonna do this right. Don't worry, Jake.
Is it gonna have a
Mr. Hudson.
Yo, I lost my ruler.
But that was right. It had right in two spots.
We'll try and make this good.
But Mr. Hudson, that one was right in two spots.
Ha.
Channel your inner DJ powers.
Bro, I can do it right now.
All right, hold up, guys. I need the side conversations and like songs and just noises to chill for a second. Because I'm trying to do this on the fly to make it a bit more cool than what they show you. So we're still in 914. I placed my numbers wrong there. So what I want is a top length of 8 and then a height of 6. So I want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, for those of you that don't want me to go past things, we'll make this one look pretty. I won't overdraw anything. Where I placed the 6, I'm also going to go 3 extra to place, like, 3 extra.
And 4 to the right?
And 4 to the right.
I'm so smart.
So we're going to end up drawing. Looks the same as what we just did, but it's going to come out a whole lot nicer.
You think it's gonna come out better, right? What? Because they're actually writing there.
Now for the line of destiny.
Wait, so this side's
I did it wrong.
So this should be 8. This should be 6. This should be 3. And this should be 4.
That's really nice. That's so perfect. Well, I need a ruler though.
Now, one thing we know for sure is these are perpendicular. We can see it on our graph paper. They make 90 degrees. Another thing we know because of special angle relationships, and guys, I got like 4 minutes. I'm going to probably take every single one of them, is that this angle right here, no, careful trying to like assume things. We might have a special relationship, but all I'm trying to label is there an angle that would be equal to it? Yes, because of vertical angles.
Oh, you have a special relationship?
That's nice. No.
So then, what we can actually also say is this top line, because I did this on graph paper, I know this to be true, is parallel to this bottom line. And guys, this, look up the board real quick, this angle at the top left is actually alternate interior with this angle down here at the bottom right.
Wait, I want some proof. I want to see like actual numbers here.
Extend this line, extend that line. We know they're parallel because they are both horizontal.
Mr. Hudson.
You almost
Now, if we had time, I could trig this and I could give you the exact numbers. But here's what I need you to see. These are actually very, very famous. I can't believe they took the time to show up in class today with us. They are the most, well, this guy first, the most famous right triangles. Because it is the first instance that in a right triangle, I can use 3, 4, and no, it's not a bad number.
Dang, that's right.
It's 5. Literally, 3, 4, and 5 make a perfect right triangle. This is used all over the place in construction.
That's right.
Then we can scale it to 6, 8, and 10.
How do you do that? Mr. Hudson, this is way too much for my brain.
That's good because I'm just at the point where if I've overloaded you, I can send you to somebody else and it's their problem.
Okay.
So if your brain has melted, Goldring's problem.
Goldring is gonna have to clean up my brain.
So hold on, serious questions, comments. Jordan.
I don't know if this is relevant, but I noticed that the small triangle, you can put 4 of them inside the other.
We will circle back to that tomorrow. It's very relevant. That's extremely relevant. Like seriously.
Okay, I have a relevant question.
Now, hold up, Jordan. If I do this, but I do it with circles, what then?
You do that with circles.
Exactly.
Listen, are you in
Hey, keep this. Sorry, keep track of this.
Are you and Mr. Estes in a secret cult trying to destroy our brains?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So if we take your brain right to the edge, I'm sure Anna wants to complain about having gotten something wrong.